I had my burnout 2016. I was working in a bank at that time and had a responsible job. And I also was single mom of 2 teenage children. And few years before that, I was completing a university degree. So looking back, it all built up over the years. There were situations in my life when I realized I was not managing my life in the same way. So once after my studies, I got extreme dizziness. Even I had to go to hospital. And few years later, also extreme nosebleeds for 3 days. So then finally 2016 it happened. It was a normal day. I was a little bit stressed, like usual at the time, and went to my office in the morning, and then the tram was late. So I came late for an office appointment. And when then I entered the office and someone came and complained about something, it was too much for me. I could not perceive anything anymore. I felt very dizzy. I was out of my mind. And even my colleagues noticed that I was no longer approachable. So I went home, was put on sick leave, and had time off for a month. At that time, I had just started spiritual practice. And from inside, I knew that this would change my life, what has happened. So I used this new free time for doing more regularly spiritual practice. So I started to chant regularly, and this helped me to interrupt my excessive thoughts and also connect with the divine. And I also started to do regularly the PDR process, which means the personality defect removal process. And through that I learned quite a lot of things. First, how I did it, I did more introspection, and I also wrote my thoughts into a diary. And through that, I recognized what was actually triggering me. And then I understood that I have to work more on my reactions. So when I started to work on my reactions, I saw that they are also triggering something again. And I also learned through working on that how I am functioning. And it was a way how to learn to know myself better. So through PDR, I learned also to deal with difficult situations differently. And I saw that impressions from the past were still influencing my thinking and my acting of today. And the good thing is, with PDR, these impressions can be overcome, step by step. So then I started to change slowly. And when I started to change, my environment also changed. So in my family, there used to be only arguments. And now there is peace and love. It's like a miracle. If someone had told me 10 years ago how I was living today, I wouldn't have believed it was possible. Today, it's clear to me that the burnout didn't happen overnight, but was rather a result of many obstructive attitudes to life. Especially this attitude that I feel responsible for everything, that everything is on my back, and even the world would collapse without me. I hadn't learned to ask for help, and I was convinced that I have to do everything on my own. I carried my past with me, and I worried about the future. I felt like a victim of my life situation, of my job, and how people behave towards me. But through my endeavors in spiritual practice, I realize, and it's clear to me, that it's not so much how others behave towards me, but more how I act, what I trigger, how I think. over the years and with the years, I understood that this PDR process is something very interesting actually. The learning happens from inside. You cannot read it in any book. It's something you experience by yourself. When I go through a difficult situation today, I can see how I act, what I cause through my actions, and I'm able to take responsibility for it, instead of being at the mercy of the world. My stress, my fears, my worries are increasingly falling away from me, and I'm able to be now more in the here and now. I also see that my trust in God has grown, and my capacity is much more than before. I'm also currently in the process of letting go of the past and putting the future in God's hands. I can only express my infinite gratitude for everything what has happened, so that I'm able to do spiritual practice today and have trust in life.